So as you can see from behind me, it's leveling day. We're going to be leveling our lawn today. I'm going to show you a couple different methods. We'll go over a bunch of different information, so hold on one sec. Normally on my videos, I try and make them a little bit entertaining and we do different stuff. This is more of an informational video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer common questions that I normally get up front. If you just want the entertaining part, if you just want to watch the leveling, I'll put that a little bit later in the video. So let's get the question and answers. Let's roll with that first. Of course, hit that subscribe button, wherever that is. I cover a lot of this in the Bermuda Lawn Guide. We talk about leveling. I talk about it a lot, so it's free. Get it. The other thing is, don't forget, we are doing some giveaways this year, so go in the description below. I always put this video on its own page. So it has its own page. Anything I'm using or talking about, so if I talk about a leveling mix, or if I talk about the rakes that we're using, or anything, I will put it on that page, and you can find it there. Okay, there are three types of leveling. Number one, there's a type of leveling where you hire a company, and they come in and do the leveling for you. That's what we're doing today. In the next video, I will show you smaller spot leveling. I'm not really going to cover that today. We're going to show you how to make up special mixes depending on the depth of your leveling. We'll be doing a little bit more do-it-yourself type leveling in the next video. So right up front, let's hit some of the questions that I always get, and I have some notes here. Number one, when do I level? You need to level during the active growing season. So for me, I'm in Georgia. That would be starting probably about now, once your grass, maybe, my grass is greener than most right now, so I would say late April all the way through the summer is fine. You can level at any time that you want, but you have to do it during the active growing season. One of the biggest mistakes I think I see is the height of the grass. That's the biggest mistake and will give you the poorest results. Ooh, some wind out here. You are not leveling your grass. I want to make that clear. You are leveling your dirt. You are leveling your soil. You have to take your lawn down to almost a scalp level. I recommend you take it down to about 1/2 inch. If you have a reel mower, take it down to about 1/2 inch. That'll still hold the sand a little bit and grab onto the sand in case you have heavy rains, but at the same time, you'll get a good leveling. That's what we did. I didn't think we were going to have a leveling job. We had thunderstorms. Matter of fact, I'm waiting for one now probably. That's why it's so windy and cloudy. So I went to reschedule it. Last night at 7 o'clock, I found out that we are going to level, and guess what I had to do? I was like, oh man, I had to come back out and I had to cut my yard down to 1/2 inch. So last night at 7 o'clock, I was out here cutting this backyard. I'm exhausted. So you have to take your yard. I see it all the time. People try and level grass that's, 1.5 inches or 2 inches tall, and you just get this clumpy mess. It does not work. So take it down low. Let's talk about the mixes. There's always discussion about what I should use. If you're leveling 1/4 inch to maybe 1/2 inch, pure sand is fine. But you want to make sure that you don't get sand that has, especially if you have a reel mower, that has larger rocks in it. That can damage a reel mower. So pure sand is fine for the most part. The majority of leveling companies use a PGA mix, which is roughly 80 to 90% sand and then 10 to 20% organic matter. That's what a typical leveling mix is. And I'll show you a little bit later in the video, I'll show you the difference between pure sand and a leveling mix. I'll show you that. The rule of thumb, and this is again where people mess up, the deeper you go, the more organic matter you need. So if you are putting down 1/4 inch to maybe 1/2 inch, pure sand or leveling mix is fine. Once you start getting to 1 inch, 1.5 inches, or 2 inches, if you have to do any deep ruts, I did a video 2 years ago talking about this. You want to at least mix 50% some kind of quality topsoil, or I use potting soil, believe it or not, with sand. If I told you I was going to grow my vegetable garden in sand, you'd tell me I was nuts. Well, the same thing is true for your lawn. You have to have heavy organic matter once you start to try and level these deep ruts, okay? If you're just doing a leveling like we're doing today, then either sand or leveling mix is fine. But if we showed years ago, we went out and we did these real deep spots, and they sat there, pure white sand. The sun beats down on them, the grass doesn't want to grow in it, and they'll stay there, and they'll be pure white sand for a long time. Tools that you're going to need. If you're going to do it yourself, if you're going to bring in sand and do it yourself, which is exhausting, by the way, of course, you're going to need a really good wheelbarrow. I recommend the double wheel, not a single wheel, double wheel wheelbarrow, shovels, and then leveling rakes. It's always good to have a leveling rake around. I'll put a link in the description below. It's really tough to find the 48-inch one that we use today. It's a big leveling rake, but you can get a 36-inch one, no problem. So today, I have a company. I think this is the second time Mike has actually done our yard. And just so you know, I know a lot of people are going to ask, what's the name of your leveling company? I make a promise to Mike that I will not give out his name or company information because he ends up getting calls from Alabama. You come down and do my... So here's how you figure out, here's how you can do it. If you want a professional to come out and level like we're doing today, just go to Google and type in lawn leveling and put your city. When you do that, it'll propagate and it'll show you if you have any lawn leveling companies in your area. That's the way to do it. So again, go to Google, lawn leveling your city, and it'll show up the companies that offer that service. So it's actually the next morning, but let's continue with the subjects. One reason why I'm out here is I wanted to talk about rain and what impact the rain's gonna have on this leveling. It will beat it up a little bit. You know, bad thunderstorm comes by, it will pound it a little bit. If you have areas that are gully washers, we'll call them, if you have drainage areas that have a lot of water wash through them, yes. Matter of fact, let me put up my sprinkler head, and I have a sprinkler head that sits a little bit low, and you can see how the sand gets pushed. So that's why I say it's a good idea to have some kind of leveling rake. You can get a cheap 36-inch leveling rake just to be able to go back out after the rain. What I did do, I'll let you know, is last night I came out here and I ran my sprinkler systems short, about 5 minutes on each station. I did that twice, just to sort of kind of lock this sand in a little bit, but you will get a little bit of movement, might have to do a little bit of cleanup. Okay, so let's dive into the cost of this, because everyone's going to be different how they view cost. In other words, what's your time worth? Do you want to save money and just do it all yourself and put in the hard labor? So let me give you an example. I have a big yard, a fairly good sized yard, 17,000, 18,000 square feet. And when my son looked at this yard, he said, man, you're going to have to bring in truckloads of dirt. And you're right, I have to bring in a lot of dirt to do this leveling. So let me give you one example. I just went online and looked up, there's an estimate that 1 yard of sand, leveling sand, will cover approximately 678 square feet at ½ an inch. So a yard of sand is going to cover, you need 1.5 yards of sand to cover 1,000 square feet at ½ an inch. So that means I'd probably have to put, if I just brought in a leveling mix by the truckload or sand by the truckload, I'd probably have to spend a few $100s, anywhere from $200 to $400 just to bring in that sand. Then they'd dump it in my driveway, then I'd have to have wheelbarrows, and probably spend 2 or 3 days doing this project, busting my butt. I do not want to do that. So the other way to do this, the other way you can do this is there's a real good leveling mix. If you live in Georgia, South Carolina, and the Southeast, I'll put a link to the leveling mix. They deliver it in bags, and it's about I think it's like an 80-20 mix of sand. It's that dark sand I'm talking about. They deliver it to your house. I will warn you that everything is short this year and they're having delays. So if you want to get that done, I think it's about a month ordering time. It used to be a week, now it's a month. Everything is running out, I'm just telling you. So everything is in short supply. But I'll put a link to the leveling bags that you can get. And those are big bags. Even still with that, I'd probably have to have, I would say probably 5 of those bags delivered here to do what we accomplished shortly. He charged me to bring it out, put it out, and to drag it would be about $1,000 for my whole yard. So I would have to spend just in raw materials probably $400 or $500 just to get the raw materials. Again, spend 2 days coming out here, pay my son to help me do this. It's a nightmare. So yes, it sounds like a lot of money. It's not something I do every year though. I may do it every 2 or 3 years. And not everybody needs to do this. Not everybody needs to level. But from the time he arrived, which was about 9 o'clock, this whole project was basically done in 55 minutes. Now let me say it again, 55 minutes versus 2 or 3 days. That to me, that's worth the money. That's why I have them do it. I'll do small spot leveling and take care of ruts, but for the overall leveling, no way I'm doing it myself. But that's up to you. If you want the exercise, go for it. Now I also want to talk about, do you need to level? Let me explain something. This leveling put out about a 1/2 inch of sand all over my yard. I'm still going to have ruts. The problem that most people have is they're using a push mower, rotary mower, or they're using a riding rotary lawnmower. And what ends up happening is it's not even so much ruts as it is these large sort of hump areas. And when you go over them, you're trying to cut your Bermuda low, you get these scalp marks. You cure that by using a reel mower. Now, I'll link to the McLean's. The 25-inch McLean GR series is what I recommend for everyone out there. It solves this problem. Without having to spend the money on leveling consistently, we come out here and we use reel mowers and it solves the whole problem. My lawn looks beautiful and it's still bumpy as crap. I still have a bunch of bumps in it. I have deep depressions out in the front. I have 2 areas that's like 2 inches too low, but it looks great because I use a reel mower. And I'm not trying to sell you on a reel mower. What I'm saying is if you want a low cut Bermuda lawn, you will never get that really low cut quality using a rotary type system. You just won't get it. You're gonna have to bump up, and most of you understand what I'm talking about. When I use my John Deere here, if I try and take it down low, I'll be scalping this whole place. I'll have scalp marks all over it. Let's talk real quick about products. What products do I put down? The only thing I don't want to put down is I don't want to put down before I do a leveling anything that's a slow release product. So I wouldn't come out a day before and put out PGF Complete. If you put it out a week or 2 ago, that's fine. Wait till after your aeration. Now I did put down Humichar and we did a spray out here and wet it right before it. That's fine because it's going in the ground. One thing I did do on the front, and I'll probably do on my back, is I actually had some PGF balance. Now the balance is all fast release 10-10-10, and I know my soil's a little bit low on phosphorus, so I'm gonna come out and I put a light coat of PGF balance, and it's fast release, and it'll get into it and sort of stimulate this grass. So after the leveling, then you can come out and start your products again. Aeration. A lot of people ask, should I aerate before I level? Sure. The only thing you want to do, I'll tell you though, is make sure if you're going to do a core aeration, pick up your core plugs before they do this leveling. And I told you, you've heard me talk about these silver dollars. They'll run over those core plugs and they'll make these silver dollars, and they're a pain in the butt. They get all over the yard. So if you're going to do a core aeration, either do it well before and pick up your cores, or wait till afterwards and do it. But I like to keep the two separate personally. Okay, so anyways, I'll just string together what happened yesterday. Like I said, we'll be coming out here next week. Make sure you subscribe, because we're going to come out here and we'll treat some of these deeper ruts with this heavy organic leveling mix that we're going to be using. Okay, so we're not going to be dragging today. We're actually going to be pushing the whole yard. Because I told him not to bring the drag a couple weeks ago, and so he didn't bring it. So now we're going to push the whole yard by hand. Normally he'll drag the lawn. Let me show you how this works. So we've got the truck here, and the truck is full with sand, and then it has a delivery point right here. maybe you can see what we're doing here. A lot of my rut marks go this way. So what I want to do is, I actually want to go, just like you're grouting, you actually want to go diagonal. So I have some rut marks that go this way. Most of them go this way. So if you go at a diagonal across that, that's the way that it works the best. I just did a couple of rows real quick. That's a workout. Let's keep going. And then we'll come back over here and do this side. So we're gonna go diagonal like this. So instead of going straight, we're going diagonal across like this. And then we'll come back and we'll actually do another run straight. There's a bunch of little bugs out here this morning. It's the first time all year. So what's interesting is you can see the rut marks that we've had here for years, and they slowly fill up. Tire track marks from where the previous owner just kept riding the same lawnmower, riding mower over it and over it. And we did it as well too, but you can see the difference here. It's amazing. I'm re-raking in the opposite direction now of what Ryan raked with the big one. And because I'm doing that, the grass is going to stand up a little bit more. So let me explain this. When you grout tile, you never go in the direction of the grout lines because you'll just pull out the grout. You always go diagonal, and that will leave grout in the line. Well, the same thing is here true. Same thing is here too. Because we've been cutting this way and we've cut this way, we're actually splitting this and going diagonal. And that will leave the sand in the lines and not pull it out. Okay, so the question comes up, what is leveling mix that professionals use? 10 to 20% of some type of organic matter, and I'm going to show you the difference between plain white sand and leveling mix. You like the sand? Do you like it? They think it's playtime. All right, so let me show you here. I'll give you an example. See the difference? So this is leveling mix, and this is pure sand. Okay, so we have level raked our butts off. We've gone over this lawn, the front at least, probably 5 times. Then I came out here and I actually put just a tiny bit of PGF balance down here, which is a quick release fertilizer. And I'm gonna run my sprinkler system just for like 5 minutes and 5 minutes, and then I'll come back. I don't want any pooling or anything, but this will sort of lock it in case I get any rains. I'll be locked in and I don't have to worry about it. So that was not a bad day, actually. It was really just walking around pushing the leveling rakes, which is really easy. But we're all done. So I've got all that sand put out. That took 55 minutes. We probably raked for about an hour and a half, just walking around pushing the rake. That was no big deal, and we're done. I put down PGF balance. My lawn is a little bit low in phosphorus anyways. But what I like about the balance is it's a quick release. So it's not a slow release. So I put down, it's a 10-10-10 with iron and micronutrients. I'll link to it in the description below. Come out here with a light coat of PGF balance and then run my sprinklers. And I'm supposed to have some storms today, so we'll see what gets washed out. You will have some movement if you have areas, obviously, that just blow out. But I like to have them leave. I asked them to leave me about a wheelbarrow or two in a pile somewhere. I've actually got it in my shed in a wheelbarrow. And that way I can go back and repair any washouts that happen. But now you return to your schedule as normal. What I like to do is I'll let my grass come up and not cut it as low for a little while, because you don't want all this sand running through a reel mower. That's an important thing. So you might want to bump your reel mower up, a tiny little bit, and until this really fills in with solid grass. Otherwise you'll be running just sand. It's just like rocks running through your reel mower. I'm gonna wait for this storm to come through, and then I'm gonna come back and cut the green. Hit subscribe. Like I said, I'll do that. If you have any real deep thick areas where you need more of organic mixed, I'll do a video on that sometime next week. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. Click subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.